no veas, a Sevilla. Y al último que cuando ya salió la bien de regla.
It is Saturday on Raid Shadow Legends, but you knew that. Now, for all those who have or haven't been watching recently, after 140 primal shards or so, we finally got an actual mythical champion, and believe it or not, we actually more or less got the best one that we could have, given our own personal requirements with this account. Toshiro the Bloody. Now, I've built him out, I've booked him, mastery, etc. And for anyone who is a bit uninitiated, why is Toshiro the Bloody so good? So, first off, whilst to attack, he actually scales off HP and attack, but his A2, Sanguine Darts, not only does decent damage, but will also increase his attack and HP each time to a pretty significant amount, which permanently increases his damage. He can place decreased defense and leech on the entire enemy team on a 3-turn cooldown, and this also hits pretty hard. And then we have this A1, which hits once, can also hit someone else, and then gives him perfect veil, which I believe means that Head of Torment can't fear him. And because he is Shadowkin, he works with Lady Mikage and her A1 Shadow Lash, which, well, you can read, can't you? So, a couple things to note about him is, yes, he's 3 levels off maximum. I'm more than aware of that. I'm too cheap to use a bruise. He does not have a blessing because I just never got a soul for him. Now, from 1 to 5 star, you want Nature's Bounty on him because of the debuffs he places, which will permanently increase his damage. But at 6 star, you will want Crushing Rend unless you are already completely ignoring defense, in which case then just stay on Nature's Bounty. And because he does scale off attack and HP, he gets extra value out of the stats from Soul, so yeah. I guess I'll just pull one at some point, right? Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Random is random. Now, those who haven't seen before, I will post his damage multipliers on screen again for you. And then we go on to his alt form. It looks cool, but that's kind of all it has going for it. Now, I wouldn't dislike his alt form, even though it's not quite as good of a damage dealer and seems like this mix of damage dealer, offensive support, healer. But there is one very serious issue with his alt form, and we're going to go back to his base form, and this here, only while it's in base, when he uses Metamorph, those stat boost he gains are lost. They're not just forgotten and he gets them back when he turns back into base form. No, he just loses them. So, going into his alt form actively makes his base form worse. And I would say that Toshiro alt is actually the worst mythical form in the game. Purely because of that, and also because it just doesn't have that many significant uses. Like, I'm sure you can make cases for things like Alaz alt form, or I think there's a couple others who aren't that great either, but this is the only one where Activa makes him worse. However, Toshiro base form is really, really good, so yeah, that's fine. So what we're going to do at first is going to be a Hydra run, which we are going to do on Brutal using this team. So to go through it, and obviously my gear isn't perfect, but it's not like really, really bad either. There are other people who make showcases with worst builds. Let's just say, well, you probably know what I'm talking about. So our lead is Nekomofar, who is in 4-piece Cursed and 4-piece Merciless to keep cycling back to both of these. And he's our sole source of Hex on the team. Molly is... I don't have a soul for it. She's a mix of Provoke for Head of Decay, a Reviver, which she can't just waste by herself, and then this Turn Meter boost, which actually adds up a lot. I put it in Immortal because we don't have a whole lot of healing and I prefer to keep her alive. Next is Yugo, who is in a Affinity Breaker because I want this block buff to land. The decreased defense Toshiro can do that, but still. And then we also have a heal and a cleanse, and this is our primary healer. Now, I didn't really bother sorting out the gear too much of this, so we could get higher HP, but this probably should be fine for the most part. Next is our Mikage, and this is our PvP live arena Mikage because I don't have a second one, and given the choice, I'd rather have a different mythical than a second Mikage, but I know there's lots of people who to have 2 Mikages and nothing else, which is pretty tragic. And yeah, we're not going to use her alt form here, just her base form for ally attack. This, which does a lot of things I can't bother reading, and then this with Toshiro. Then we have Legate Teox, by far the strongest faction unity champion in the game that there will probably ever be. I don't think they're ever going to top this guy, and he just does lots and lots and lots of damage. And this, again, enables Toshiro because he's our second highest crit damage on the team. Pardon me for 1 second there. Now, he is in 6-piece Merciless, and I would have liked to have 6-piece Merciless and 2-piece Zeal on him. However, I've just simply never gotten Merciless necklaces or banner for Shadowkin, so I had to do without for that. But that, I'd say, is a much better build. And because he's HP attack, he prefers speed, crit damage, etc. And to go over his gear pieces, we have these. They're not perfect. I'm just working with what I have for the most part, so you can tell there is like some dead stats on here, but yeah. Let's go through some more again, and then that. And masteries are hang on, there we go. Helm Smasher, because he should be doing enough damage that it's going to be worth more than having Warmaster on him. Right, there you go. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So without wasting too much more of your time, we will go into a Hydra run. Now, I would do this on Nightmare, but percent damage is better in Nightmare, and I have Mariah the Gallant and a Crazy for that. So first off, I'm going to do the first few turns normally. So in this case, we're going to just go straight on here. It gives us another chance to supply Hex. And I want to stack up my attack first thing, because after we've used this twice, we are not going to use the A2 of Teox anymore. So next. Don't land the decreased speed on all of them, but I think it's fine. Them. Block buffs, and again, because of Teox passive, we get to move once more, so that's already the start of our turn. And we don't need the leech, so as you see, it does hit pretty hard. Use this to extend our debuffs, their debuffs, and our buffs, and they get nothing out of that. And wait, how do you have this? Oh, never mind. It's not worth thinking about too much. And you don't have Hex on you, so I can't control where this goes. So this, and let's see how much damage Toshiro does. 306,000, pretty good. It will get higher than that, believe me. And then we do this again. How much is it going to be? And he's also hitting someone else, I believe. Again, pretty good damage. Merciless means we have this back a turn early. And you have Hex on you, so. Okay, that's that. And now we can press auto. And we have this run for a bit. And let me just move myself over to one side here because I've been obscuring Yugo until then. And this passes is full auto. Now, we are not the most durable team in the world. I think we can die if we get full crit, but we do have increased attack. I mean, decreased attack and a pretty likely chance, and it's pretty hard ball to go through. So, Toshiro is hitting 2 people because they're under leech, but this is why Nekomofar is important. Is there someone like Eostrid, because not only is the decreased attack on the A1, which is AoE for the cursed set, Hex, but we also have another source of leech in case the Toshiro isn't landing it. Now, one thing here you'll note is that the decap on Head of Blight is almost dead already, and this is one problem regarding how the Hydropocalypse, and they decided to just nerf these kind of strategies again, and for people who were actually competing in Hydra Clash, well, Trunda, once again, is by far the best team. It's nowhere near as egregious as it was before, but the imbalance is still there, and put it this way, Teox Toshiro as a strategy used to do a lot more than this, but at the same time, it is still pretty strong. And we'll keep this going for a bit more, especially because, well, we didn't have Black buffs on, so Head of Blight has done a funny. But yeah, we are very unlikely to die, and because I don't have the most time in the world, I will probably just keep this if this goes over to turn limit without trying to refresh of things like perfect RNG. As you can see there, I did 1,000 damage in a single hit, but because the decap ran out, we didn't even get the second hit from Teox's A1, and not anything from Toshiro either, which just goes to show how much they have weakened us. I don't know what they were thinking there. It was kind of funny because they were trying to sell Onryo Ayasu at the time, who is the Void Legendary Shadowkin, as this guy who would just wail on Hydra heads with the empowered Hex effect, and then they did list, and no one bothered pulling for Ayasu at that point, because why would you, when at that point he is unironically worse than Ninja, who was a free champion? I am not making that up. No one is using Onryo over Ninja anymore, whether in Hydra, Chimera, or otherwise, and even for Arena. People prefer Georgie if they're just trying to just kill things, so that was a complete flop of a Void Legendary entirely through Plarium's incompetence. They're a silly bunch like that. So you can see there we were doing 1 million on a hit, a single hit of the A2 against the decap, and okay, kind of got hit down to a pretty amount there, but I think we should be okay. Are we? Okay. We weren't provoked, I think, so we don't have a whole lot of resistance, but that is one good thing about Mikage A2 there, is it reduces duration of debuffs and allies, so that can act as a partial cleanse to things like the provoke. Another thing to note about Toshiro A1 is it is a 50% chance, even if there's like someone else under leech, it may not actually attack them, so it's a coin flip in that regard. And I believe Nekomo's going to pass on here because we don't have a most in terms of overall healing. Oh. Well, that's unlucky, isn't it now? So, yeah, I guess we're going to restart this one. Okay, but first off, just to show how much damage was taking place here, so Toshiro, despite being 0-star, is doing more than a 6-star Teox, so there is that. Anyway, yeah, like 3 regroup and not end battle, otherwise that'd be really stupid, and we're going to start this again. And this time round, I will just come back to you when a run is done. And this is what we ended up with. How does this compare to last week? Well, here you go. It's no drastic improvement, even though we're using a mythical and not an epic, but that just goes to show how much they had restricted multi-hitting effects in terms of the decapitation rebalance part of the Hydropocalypse. And this is what I was doing before any of that happened, so you can see how much things have changed. Admittedly, for this run with Toshiro, I did switch on Teox's A2 again, so I might switch it off next week and see how much that changes things. Now, I did mention Chimera, but I'm going to leave that for another day, because otherwise this will drag on for way too long all at once. I'm sure you understand. Anyway, that's all for now, so see ya.